Don't you just love it when a show makes a relationship canon that you've been wanting to see for so long? Danny Phantom is one of those series that didn't let fans down as they made the Sam and Danny love story officially canon. Looking back on the show as an adult though, and going through of all of Danny's past relationships, it's easy to see why the pair were so perfect for each other, and honestly, it makes the relationship hit a little differently. Now, fans might remember that Danny wasn't always crushing on Sam. For most of the series, the pair were just really close friends, but this slowly budding affection might also be what made the relationship so strong. It took a long time for the pair to develop feelings for each other, and by the time they finally acknowledged those feelings, they had already formed an unbreakable bond. By the end of the show, Danny and Sam ended up looking like a couple that was made for one another. You know, like one of those celebrity couples with a combined name. And I couldn't have been happier to see them finally begin a relationship by the time the show was over. But when you think about it, if it wasn't for a few other crushes and relationships that Danny had along the way, he might not even have realized his true feelings for Sam. Each character influenced Danny and, one way or another, led him straight to Sam. Well, if we are going to bring up Danny's past relationships, who better to start with than Paulina? Now, I know what you're thinking, and you're right, Paulina and Danny never technically dated, but that doesn't mean that Danny didn't have it bad for Paulina Sanchez. No matter how much she would put him down and allow the other popular kids and jocks to harass Danny, he was absolutely in love with Paulina. Too bad for him, the only time that she ever actually showed him any affection was when she wanted to make Sam jealous for being rude to her, or when she found out that Danny was the ghost boy. Luckily for Danny, he had someone like Sam in his life who was not shy about telling him how silly it was for him to swoon over someone who was so rotten towards him. Sam even stood up to Danny by calling Paulina shallow in the second episode of the show. Danny worked up the courage to talk to Paulina, but she and the others simply laughed at him, which was when Sam walked over and hit her with a wicked burn. She said that Paulina was so shallow that if she was a puddle Sam stepped in, Sam's feet wouldn't even get wet. Now, you could argue that Sam's overprotection of Danny came from a "we're just friends" place, but it could just as easily be argued that it was because she really liked Danny and didn't like seeing him with other girls. But Paulina wasn't the only former relationship that shaped Danny into the guy who was finally ready to see that his real love was right in front of him in the form of his best friend Sam. Can you guess who was an even bigger influence on Danny's love life than Paulina? It shouldn't be too hard, considering the fact that Valerie was the only real girlfriend that Danny ever had leading up to the end of the series. Valerie and Danny had an interesting relationship, considering she was a ghost hunter who firmly believed that Danny Phantom was evil, not knowing that he was actually Danny Fenton at first. Beyond that though, once Valerie and Danny started to get along, which wasn't until they were forced to be lab partners and take care of a flour sack together, she actually started to like him. Like, a lot. In the episode Rain Storm, Valerie expressed her interest in Danny by warning Sam that she would make a move before someone else stole Danny from her. Ironically, the person to take Danny from Sam, at least for a little while, was Valerie herself. The pair started dating, and they actually seemed like a pretty decent couple, despite Valerie hating Danny's ghost half. But in the end, they realized they wouldn't work out when Valerie dumped Danny to protect him from the ghost world and her ghost hunting side. And even though the two never reconciled, once Valerie learned the truth about Danny and his ghost side, she could be seen cheering for him in the final episode alongside everyone else. Now, Valerie seemed like a good fit for Danny considering their shared ghost hunting aspirations and the fact that she actually seemed to care about the young Fenton. So why was Sam a better fit for Danny in the end? Well, beyond the fact that Sam and Danny had been best friends for such a long time, despite their differing opinions on certain topics, Sam really was the only right choice for Danny. After all, she was the reason he ended up with ghost powers, which became such a big part of Fenton's identity. If she hadn't convinced Danny to take a look inside the strange machine that his parents built when he was just 14, his molecules wouldn't have gotten rearranged, turning him into the half-ghost we all love. Obviously, there's much more to the relationship than that, but it definitely got things going. On top of that, Sam was always there for Danny, whether it was when he needed her emotionally or when he needed her to help him save the world from ghosts. He hardly ever had to ask. The two were so inseparable that practically everyone who knew them believed they were dating anyway. Paulina even suggested on multiple occasions, including the episode Fanning the Flames, that she thought they were dating. In that episode, she outright told Danny and Sam, "I always knew you two losers would end up together." This means that the only two people who couldn't see it for themselves were Danny and Sam. Or maybe they just didn't want to admit it. Think about it. In the show's second episode, when Danny decided to approach Paulina, Sam showed a hint of jealousy. Right before he walked up to her, Danny explained that he always had a hard time talking to beautiful girls, and without even thinking about it, Sam responded by wondering why he never had a problem talking to her. They might not have gone into detail because it was so early in the show, but Sam was clearly upset that Danny didn't consider her to be as pretty as some of the other girls in his class, whether she wanted to admit it or not. But to make things even better, in that same episode, right after Danny embarrassed himself in front of Paulina, Sam came to his rescue and walked over to defend him. If that doesn't show how much she actually cared for Danny, then I don't know what does. And if Danny didn't think he had feelings for Sam, it's probably just because he didn't want to admit that to himself, or maybe even to save their friendship, because, like I said, everyone could see the chemistry was there. He even had a hard time hiding his feelings and his happiness for Sam's possible affection during their first fake-out make-out. In the episode Shades of Grey, Valerie was in a hot pursuit of the Ghost Boy, aka Danny, and in order to save him from being captured, Sam did the only thing she could think of. She shoved Danny into a bush, and the two began to make out. And while it was clearly a ruse, the smile on Danny's face afterward proved how ecstatic he was. In fact, he enjoyed the kiss so much that the fake-out make-out became his go-to move the next time he needed a cover story. It's no coincidence that in the episode, Memory Blank, Danny pulled Sam into a fake kiss while they were in his basement and he heard his dad coming down to the lab. Danny knew that he liked Sam more than just a friend, but for some reason, he just couldn't be honest with himself. The show never really gave fans an answer as to why Danny took so long to acknowledge his feelings for Sam, but odds are it was something as simple as he either didn't realize that he had those feelings or thought that he was just happy to be friends with Sam. Or maybe he knew about his feelings but never wanted to act on them for fear of ruining their friendship. In reality though, Sam was borderline perfect for Danny. She was always ready to stand by him when they were fighting ghosts or when the popular kids were embarrassing him. On top of that, she was always ready to research the paranormal, not only for her own gothic thrills, but because she knew that it would help Danny on his quest to stop all the ghosts that were coming through the Fenton portal. Just like she did when she was looking into Pandora's box in the episode Boxed Up Fury, Sam was the only reason that Danny or Tucker ever understood what was actually going on during their spectral fights. It really seemed like Sam and Danny were perfect for each other. That's why, when the last couple of episodes of the show aired, I kept asking myself, are they finally going to make Sam and Danny official? Thankfully, Butch Hartman and the writers for Danny Phantom didn't leave fans hanging. In the series finale, Danny and Sam finally admitted their feelings for each other. In the finale, Phantom Planet, they eventually discovered that a giant asteroid, aptly named the Disasteroid, was heading toward Earth, and if it made contact, it would destroy the entire thing. Events unfolded, and Danny came forward and revealed himself to be none other than Danny Phantom to the entire world right before saving it. But before he could fly off to stop the asteroid, Sam had a few key things to tell him. She returned the ring that he gave to her to hold onto for him. He said that the ring was for Valerie, but Sam figured out that it was really meant for her, thanks to the engraving on the inside. She gave it to Danny and asked him to promise her that he would bring it back. That way, she would know he was going to save the world and come back to her. Danny promised, and they agreed to talk after he stopped the Disasteroid. And right before he flew away, the two shared an official kiss that was in no way a fake-out make-out. Danny flew off and saved the world as everyone hoped he would. But more importantly, he and Sam finally talked. The pair became an official couple as they sat underneath a tree staring at a large statue of Danny. And this is where Danny gave Sam the ring with her name on it, promising to always make time for her. He admitted that he couldn't have done any of his work as Danny Phantom without her, and the couple flew off together. Not much is known about their life together after the events of Danny Phantom, but according to Butch Hartman, the two remained happy. They even went on invisible dates, during which Danny would turn both of them invisible so that they could get away from the paparazzi and the public and just be alone for a little while. How funny is that? I'm really curious to know though, how do you feel about Sam and Danny's relationship? Were they a perfect match like the show made them out to be? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. Yo, Danny Fenton, he was just 14 when his parents built a very strange machine. It was designed to view a world unseen. Gonna catch 'em all 'cause he's Danny Phantom. When it didn't quite work, the folks just quit, but Danny took a look inside of it. There was a great big flash, everything just changed. His molecules got all rearranged. Phantom, when he first woke up, he realized he had snow white hair and glowing green eyes. He could walk through walls, disappear, and fly. He's much more unique than the other guy. It was then what he knew what he had to do. He had to stop all the ghosts that were coming through. He's here to fight for me and you. Gonna catch 'em all 'cause he's Danny Phantom. Gonna catch 'em all 'cause he's Danny Phantom. Gonna catch 'em all 'cause he's Danny Phantom.